All right, case 2, 42-year-old obese female, BMI is 38, presents for knee pain. When you address weight management, she says she's tried everything and nothing has worked. Best way for a counsel this patient is A, motivate her to try harder. D, get a more detailed history to see what she is going wrong. C, focus on the barriers to adhering to diet and exercise. And D, recommend Meridia. I'll let you think about that while I try to rehydrate myself from my insensible losses. This is vitamin water. Very good stuff, only 10 calories. Let's see, this is the orange. I don't know what's in it, but it's good and it's not high calories. I've drank like 10 of these a day. It's unbelievable. All right, so A is the wrong answer. She's motivated. Most patients with diabetes are actually motivated to lose weight. This is sort of one of the differences between smoking and obesity. Again, the society doesn't like fat people. And there are a few people that are sort of happy with themselves and happy with their body, but most people, even the ones who are ardent about, I'm very happy with my body, most of them would love to lose weight. So it's not that they're not motivated. They may seem unmotivated because they're not, they're not successful, but they've tried. They've usually tried 100 things, including crazy things that they're afraid to tell you. Like the Martha's Vineyard diet, where they do they get coffee enemas and stuff like that. And I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. So most patients are motivated. B is a good answer. Get a more detailed diet history to see where she's going wrong. Diet histories are very good. They tell you what patients are eating and can help you give suggestions. Focus on barriers to adhering to diet and exercise. That one's also correct. A lot of this has to do with what is interfering you. What is not do you want to lose weight, but what's preventing you from eating healthy and adhering to an exercise program. D, she would be a candidate for Meridia because she is over that threshold of BMI, but I'd probably first start with sort of diet and exercise before going right to Meridia. So again, when you see a patient, don't ask, have you ever been on a diet? They almost always have. See, what's the biggest challenge to managing your weight? What interferes with your adherence? So don't ask, why are you so fat? But, how does it occur? What happens? What leads you to not being able to lose weight? A lot of it's like smoking. Just like we ask the smokers, like, when do you smoke? Ask them, when do you eat? Why do you eat? What prevents you from eating a healthy diet? Often they'll tell you about time and stress and stuff like that, but it's important to counsel them on those barriers. All right, case 3 is a 23-year-old male, BMI is 37, has been compliant with your diet recommendations, has lost 5% of his body weight in the first 3 months, has not lost anything in the last 3 months. So first 3 months and then the last 3 months hasn't done anything. Admits compliance with exercise has been pretty difficult, and you should recommend working out 5 to 6 days a week at a gym, short 10-minute walks 3 times a day, a personal trainer, or try to increase daily activity when possible and restrict calories even more to lose weight. Well, A is incorrect here because, again, the patient is not able to, his compliance has been kind of bad, so just telling him to work harder probably isn't going to do anything. A personal trainer might work. That might motivate some people, but it's very expensive and not everyone can do it. So C is not completely wrong, but may not be best for everyone. Short 10-minute walks 3 times a day actually does work. In other words, it doesn't have to, 30 minutes of exercise doesn't all have to come at once. If you walk 10 minutes extra to work and 10 minutes extra of home, that's 20 minutes. All you need is a 10-minute walk during lunch and you'll get your 30 minutes a day. So it does work. Similarly, anything you can do to increase daily activity will help. So taking the stairs instead of the elevator, etc. But the bottom line is that exercise is key and critical to losing weight, but by itself doesn't lose that much weight. Really, most weight loss comes from calorie restriction. Exercise helps, but you can eat tons and tons of food and not and exercise and not lose a thing. So it's really important to receive. If they're not losing weight, you have to look at the calories first. So here's the Surgeon General's recommendations for 180 minutes per week. There's a study in JAM that showed that that your increase in regular daily activity was as good as working out at the gym. I already mentioned that it doesn't have to be all at once, and then try to consider realistic goals. If you're not a marathon runner, you're not going to be all the time. The other thing is that anything will work. This was an interesting randomized trial of 200 women, and they put them into these 4 exercise groups, vigorous intensity high duration to vigorous intensity moderate duration. And they basically found that though the more you did and the harder you worked, the more weight you lost, it was really not statistically significantly different. So more and harder is better, but the real thing is whether you do it or not. Anything will work. Anything will work. All right, the fourth case, 32-year-old obese female, BMI of 38, eats no breakfast, goes to the food court with her friends for lunch, and then has a low-fat meal, broiled chicken and rice, for dinner. She does not snack, and you should recommend A, a low-fat diet high in fruits and vegetables, B, the Atkins diet, C, she keep a food diary and bring this with her next visit since she's obviously not telling the truth, and D, Weight Watchers. Well, this one is a tricky one because basically any of the answers can be right or wrong. And this is sort of what the challenges that we face in the primary care setting. The low-fat, lower portions has been sort of the mantra up until the past decade. And I guess if you're asked on a standardized question, you still want to do this, sort of better portions, smaller meals, healthier foods, all that kind of stuff. But when we did low-fat, we found that those kind of diets that were studied weren't really successful. What does work is a food diary. If you just have patients write down what they eat, they will lose weight. No question. They will lose weight because we often eat and we're not aware of what we're eating, when we're eating, and more importantly, why we're eating. So just the act of writing down and keeping a food diary is actually a successful tool. Can help you, the clinician, sort of counsel them, but also in and of itself works. Now, there was a couple of studies. There was a studies that looked at commercial weight loss programs. So Atkins, the Zone, which is a low-carb too, Weight Watchers, Dean Ornish, you probably haven't heard of. There really wasn't any difference between any of the diets, but most importantly, adherence was very low to all of these sort of, fad diets, ranging from 50 to 65%. So the more you were adherent, the more you lost weight. So it's probably not which diet you use, but which diet you can stick to. Weight Watchers is the one commercial weight loss program that works. It's sort of a modified calorie counting program, so if you restrict calories, you'll lose weight. The other thing that it also looks at is support. And so some people do really well with these support groups, almost like an AA. Some people, that's just not their cup of tea. Atkins is very interesting. Atkins did the reverse. Instead of sort of a low-fat, high carbohydrate, medium protein diet, which was traditional, he said no carbs. He said high fat, high protein, very low carb, and studied this. Very interestingly, people were skeptical because they thought that the cholesterol would go up. In fact, it didn't. At 6 months, compared to a conventional diet, it actually did better. But at 12 months, there wasn't any difference. And there's definitely probably something to this as far as needing protein and fat. It is sort of satiating. If you don't have any of that, you can just eat lots and lots of carbs and not a lot of fat and still gain weight. So I think it's more of a balance to have I like the South Beach approach, which looks at good carbs and bad carbs and good fats and bad fats and trying to find a balance. I won't go into Atkins too much. Basically what they do is you have this induction phase where you have very, very low carbs, and then you gradually increase them. And again, this one approach was to focus on carbohydrate counting. Weight Watchers focuses on points, etc. And then there's some data on glycemic index. Oh, I have a guest. What are you doing here? I told you to stay downstairs. I'm almost done.
Sorry.
All right, let me.
Mr.
Oh, that's not very nice. All right, can you? I have to finish my lecture. Can you? Why don't you go outside and play? Well, I'm almost done. Why don't you go outside and play? All right. All right. So let me have my concluding statement. Again, finally, the glycemic index. This looks at the effect on sugar. The thought is that if you have high carbohydrate, and this may be some of the reason behind Atkins, if you have high carbohydrate, that stimulates the pancreas to produce lots of insulin, which it should, but then what happens is you get some reflexive hypoglycemia. So when you're hypoglycemic, what do you want to do? You want to eat. And so the thought is that a high carb diet, which has a high glycemic index, more sugar per sort of unit of food, if you will, makes the pancreas secrete too much insulin, causing people to be hypoglycemic, and then eat more food, and that's maybe why a diet that has a low glycemic index will be effective. So that's the best I could do on obesity, on over the internet. I'm very hopeful this will work. I'm going to test it now, and if it does work, I'll try to put something together for asthma.